68% of adults over 40 are deficient in magnesium, yet doctors rarely test for it. This deficiency triggers a cascade most people never connect. Muscle cramps that wake you at 3 a.m., fatigue that coffee can't fix, heart palpitations your cardiologist dismisses as anxiety, and bone loss happening silently beneath the surface. While supplements flood the market promising solutions, here's what they don't tell you. Conventional magnesium oxide absorbs at just 4 to 15%. Your body eliminates most of what you swallow. Meanwhile, there's a natural source delivering 45 to 65% absorption at $2 per week. Journal of Clinical Nutrition published research showing adults consuming this daily increased serum magnesium by 34% in 8 weeks without a single pill. What makes this work isn't just magnesium content, it's the synergistic compounds that act as absorption multipliers. The magnesium crisis. Nobody talks about. Look, something fundamental shifted in our food supply that nobody prepared us for. Agricultural soil has lost approximately 50% of its mineral content since 1950, according to studies, tracking nutrient density across decades. That tomato your grandmother ate contained twice the magnesium yours does today. We're eating the same foods, sometimes even more vegetables than previous generations, yet we're more deficient than ever. But soil depletion tells only part of the story. Food processing removes 80 to 95% of magnesium from grains. That whole wheat bread, processing stripped most minerals before enrichment added back a fraction. White rice, refined flour, processed cereals. These staples our grandparents relied on actually contained magnesium before industrialization transformed them into nutritional shadows. Now add stress to this equation. Your body burns through magnesium when cortisol spikes. Every deadline, traffic jam, argument, financial worry, each dumps magnesium from your cells faster than diet can replace it. We're living in the most chronically stressed era in human history, while eating the most mineral-depleted food supply ever documented. You can see the collision coming. Here's where it gets frustrating. When doctors do test magnesium, they measure serum levels, the amount floating in your bloodstream. Sounds logical, right? Except your body desperately maintains blood magnesium within tight ranges by pulling from bones and muscles. Serum tests miss intracellular deficiency completely. You can test normal while your cells are starving. Robert discovered this the hard way. 52-year-old insurance adjuster from Michigan, worked a desk job, considered himself reasonably healthy. But every night around 2 a.m., his calves would seize. Charlie horses so severe, he'd pace his bedroom for 20 minutes, waiting for the knots to release. His doctor ran blood work, magnesium came back normal. Probably dehydration, he was told. Drink more water. 6 months of interrupted sleep later, nothing had changed. Robert wasn't dehydrated. His cells were screaming for magnesium his blood tests couldn't detect. Why your supplements aren't working? Walk into any pharmacy and you'll find dozens of magnesium supplements. The most common? Magnesium oxide. It's cheap to manufacture, stable on shelves, and absorbs at roughly 4%. Let me say that again, 4%. You swallow 400 milligrams, your body uses 16. The rest moves through your digestive system, often causing diarrhea before it exits. Why would companies sell something with 4% bioavailability? Because most consumers don't know. They see magnesium on the label, check the percentage of daily value, and assume it works. Meanwhile, supplement manufacturers save money using the cheapest form while charging premium prices. Magnesium citrate performs better bioavailability, jumps to around 30%. But here's the catch nobody mentions. There's a digestive tolerance threshold. Push past about 300 milligrams of magnesium citrate and your intestines rebel. You'll know you've crossed that line. This limits how much absorbable magnesium you can actually take before spending quality time in the bathroom. Let's talk money for a second. Quality magnesium citrate supplements run $20 to $30 monthly. If you're absorbing 30% of a 400 milligram dose, you're getting about 120 milligrams of actual magnesium daily. Not terrible. But you're paying for 300 milligrams you literally flush away. Over a year, that's $300 to $360 for partial absorption. But the real problem with isolated magnesium supplements runs deeper than absorption rates or cost. Your body didn't evolve to process isolated nutrients. In nature, Magnesium always arrives with cofactors, compounds that facilitate absorption and utilization. Vitamin B6 helps magnesium enter cells. Zinc balances magnesium's effects on cellular pumps. Amino acids chelate magnesium, protecting it through the acidic environment of your stomach. When you take isolated magnesium, you're missing the entire support system nature designed. Think about it like trying to build a house with just lumber. Sure, wood is essential, but without nails, screws, brackets, and tools, that lumber just sits there. Isolated magnesium supplements are nutritional lumber without the hardware. The $2 natural solution. So, what actually works? What delivers absorbable magnesium with its natural cofactors at a price that doesn't require a second mortgage? The answer has been hiding in plain sight, often dismissed as mere snack food. Raw pumpkin seeds, also called pepitas. 1 ounce of raw pumpkin seeds, about a small handful or roughly a quarter cup, contains 156 milligrams of magnesium. That's 37% of your recommended daily allowance in a single serving. But here's where it gets interesting. Those seeds also deliver zinc, iron, manganese, copper, and omega-3 fatty acids in a naturally balanced matrix. Each compound enhances the other's absorption. You can buy a pound of raw, organic pumpkin seeds for $8 to $12. That pound provides 16 servings. Do the math, you're looking at 50 to 75 cents per day, roughly $2 to $3 per week. Compare that to your $25 monthly supplement delivering partial absorption. But quantity and cost don't tell the full story. What makes pumpkin seeds remarkable is their amino acid profile. They're particularly rich in glycine, glutamic acid, and aspartic acid, 3 amino acids that naturally chelate minerals. Chelation means these amino acids bind to magnesium, forming a protective compound that survives stomach acid and crosses intestinal walls intact. Your body absorbs chelated minerals at dramatically higher rates than inorganic forms. Now, I need to be honest with you about something called phytic acid. Pumpkin seeds, like all seeds and nuts, contain phytic acid as a natural preservative. Phytic acid binds to minerals, reducing absorption. This is where most people consume pumpkin seeds wrong and wonder why they don't feel different. Eating raw, unsoaked pumpkin seeds straight from the bag gives you maybe 20 to 30% of available magnesium. But when you soak pumpkin seeds properly, and I'll show you exactly how, in a minute, you activate enzymes that break down 70 to 90% of phytic acid. This releases the bound minerals and transforms those seeds into a magnesium powerhouse, with absorption rates rivaling or exceeding expensive supplements. Before we move on, if you've experienced any of these magnesium deficiency symptoms, muscle cramps, restless legs, insomnia, anxiety, fatigue, irregular heartbeat, type magnesium in the comments. I want to know how many people might be dealing with this without realizing the connection. And hit that like button if this information is landing. It tells me to create more content like this. The science behind superior absorption. Let me explain why whole food sources of magnesium outperform isolated supplements at the cellular level. When you eat pumpkin seeds, you're not just consuming magnesium, you're consuming what researchers call the food matrix effect. Here's how this works. Your digestive system evolved over millions of years to process whole foods. When magnesium arrives, embedded in a complex food matrix containing fats, proteins, fibers, and other minerals, your gut recognizes it as food and activates the full digestive cascade. Enzymes release, bile flows. Intestinal cells open transport channels. The entire system engages. Isolated magnesium in a capsule? Your body sees it as a foreign chemical requiring careful handling. Absorption mechanisms remain partially activated. Much of it passes through without triggering the full digestive response. The amino acids in pumpkin seeds create natural chelates molecules where amino acids wrap around magnesium atoms like protective shields. These chelates pass through stomach acid undamaged. When they reach your small intestine, specific transport proteins recognize the amino acid component and actively pull the entire complex through intestinal walls. The magnesium comes along for the ride, protected and prioritized. But there's another layer most people miss entirely: your gut microbiome. The bacteria living in your intestines don't just help digest food, they regulate mineral absorption. Certain bacterial strains actually produce compounds that enhance magnesium uptake. These bacteria thrive on the prebiotic fibers found naturally in seeds and nuts. When you consume isolated magnesium supplements, you feed yourself but starve your microbiome. When you eat pumpkin seeds, you feed both. The fiber ferments in your colon, producing short-chain fatty acids that signal increased mineral absorption throughout your digestive tract. This creates a positive feedback loop. Better microbiome health leads to better mineral absorption, leads to better overall health, leads to improved microbiome function. BMC Medicine published a study in 2019 tracking 284 adults over 12 weeks. Half received 400 milligrams of magnesium citrate daily. The other half consumed 1 ounce of soaked pumpkin seeds daily, about 156 milligrams of magnesium from the seeds. After 12 weeks, the pumpkin seed group showed higher serum magnesium levels despite consuming 40% less magnesium by weight. The researchers measured something called red blood cell magnesium, which reflects intracellular levels far better than serum tests. The supplement group increased RBC magnesium by 18%. The pumpkin seed group, 34% increase, nearly double the improvement from less magnesium because bioavailability matters more than quantity. They also tracked something unexpected: cardiovascular markers. Both groups showed improvements in blood pressure and arterial flexibility, but the pumpkin seed group demonstrated additional benefits: reduced LDL cholesterol, lower inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein, and improved insulin sensitivity. These weren't from magnesium alone, they resulted from the synergistic effects of multiple compounds working together. The $2 secret to supercharging your magnesium levels. Naturally, PART2. What happens when you start? So you've decided to try this. You're about to consume your first serving of properly prepared pumpkin seeds. Let me walk you through exactly what happens inside your body, because understanding the timeline helps you recognize the changes and stay consistent. Within the first 2 hours, something starts that you won't consciously notice, but your cells absolutely will. As those seeds break down in your stomach, chelated magnesium begins absorbing through your intestinal walls. Your pancreas detects the incoming nutrients and adjusts enzyme production, digestive enzymes that depend on magnesium as a cofactor, and there are over 300 of them, start functioning more efficiently. Your body is essentially recalibrating its baseline operations. By hour 12, roughly halfway through your first day, cellular energy production shifts. Magnesium is required for ATP synthesis, the molecule your cells use as energy currency. Every single cell in your body needs ATP to function. When magnesium levels rise even slightly, your mitochondria produce ATP more efficiently. You won't feel supercharged yet, but your cells are working less hard to generate the same amount of energy. Days 2 through 4 bring the first noticeable changes for most people. Magnesium regulates calcium channels in muscle cells. When you're deficient, those channels malfunction, causing muscles to contract involuntarily. What you experience is cramps, twitches, or that restless leg sensation that makes sleep impossible. As magnesium restores proper channel function, these symptoms often quiet down first. Robert, the insurance adjuster I mentioned earlier, reported his nighttime calf cramps disappeared completely on day 3. He was skeptical it could work that fast, but the mechanism explains it perfectly. Around day 5 to 7, sleep quality typically improves. Here's why. Magnesium activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode that counterbalances fight or flight stress responses. It also regulates GABA receptors in your brain. GABA is your primary calming neurotransmitter, the one that helps you fall asleep and stay asleep. Low magnesium means GABA can't bind effectively to its receptors. Even if your body produces enough GABA, it can't do its job without adequate magnesium. People describe this as tired but wired, exhausted yet unable to sleep. As magnesium levels normalize, GABA function restores, and sleep deepens naturally. Weeks 2 through 4 reveal the metabolic improvements. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition in 2021 tracked adults with metabolic syndrome who added magnesium-rich seeds to their daily diet. By week 2, fasting blood glucose dropped an average of 8 points. By week 4, HbA1c, 3-month average of blood sugar, improved by 0.4% despite the short time frame. The researchers attributed this to magnesium's role in insulin signaling. When cells are magnesium deficient, insulin receptors don't function properly, creating insulin resistance even if your pancreas produces plenty of insulin. Blood pressure changes usually manifest around the 3-week mark. Magnesium relaxes smooth muscle in blood vessel walls, allowing arteries to dilate slightly. This reduces the pressure your heart works against with every beat. The same BMC medicine study I mentioned earlier found systolic blood pressure dropped an average of 7 points, and diastolic dropped 4 points after 8 weeks of daily pumpkin seed consumption. These aren't dramatic overnight changes, they're gradual improvements your body sustains long term. Beyond the first month, the benefits compound. Bone density, inflammation reduction, improved stress resilience, these take longer to manifest, but create the foundation for lasting health. Magnesium activates vitamin D, which you need for calcium absorption into bones. It regulates over 300 enzymatic reactions, many involved in reducing chronic inflammation. The timeline isn't about quick fixes. This is about giving your body what it's been missing and letting natural healing processes activate. Exactly how to prepare this. Here's how to make this work, and I'm going to give you the exact protocol that maximizes absorption while minimizing any digestive issues. You'll need raw organic pumpkin seeds, not the roasted, salted ones from the snack aisle. Those have been heated in ways that damage some beneficial compounds and often contain oils that have oxidized. Raw seeds from the bulk section or packaged raw pepitas work perfectly. Start with 1 ounce, which looks like a small handful or about a quarter cup. If you don't have a food scale, just estimate. You don't need laboratory precision here. Place them in a bowl or jar and cover them with filtered water. Add about a quarter teaspoon of sea salt or Himalayan pink salt. The salt isn't just for flavor, it helps break down enzyme inhibitors in the seed coating. Let this sit for at least 8 hours. Overnight works great. Set it up before bed and it's ready by morning. What's happening during those 8 hours? Enzymes called phytases activate in the presence of moisture and salt. These phytases systematically break down phytic acid, releasing the minerals it's been holding hostage. You'll notice the water gets slightly cloudy. That's the phytic acid and enzyme inhibitors leaching out. After soaking, drain the seeds thoroughly and rinse them with fresh water. At this point, you have 2 options. You can eat them as is, slightly soft with a fresh, nutty flavor, or you can roast them to restore some crunch, which many people prefer. If roasting, spread them on a baking sheet and put them in a 300-degree oven for about 15 minutes. You want them dry and slightly crispy but not deeply browned. High heat destroys some of the omega-3 fats and can damage the amino acids that help with absorption. Timing matters more than most people realize. Your body absorbs magnesium best when cortisol is lower and digestive function is optimal. For most people, that's evening, about an hour before bed. The magnesium supports sleep, while your body does its deepest cellular repair work overnight. Some people do better taking half in the morning and half at night. Experiment and see what feels right for your system. Just 1 ounce daily. Don't overdo this. Thinking more is better. Your intestines can only absorb so much magnesium at once, and excessive amounts cause digestive distress. Start with 1 ounce for at least 2 weeks before considering whether you need more. Most people find 1 ounce daily provides everything they need. You can eat these plain, mix them into yogurt, blend them into smoothies, or sprinkle them on salads. The preparation method matters. The soaking is non-negotiable for maximum absorption. But how you consume them after that is up to your preferences and convenience. The transformation timeline. Margaret's story illustrates what this protocol looks like in real life. 58 years old, worked as a cardiac nurse for 32 years, spent decades taking care of other people's health while neglecting her own. She came to me exhausted, not just tired, but completely depleted. Working 12-hour shifts left her barely functional. She'd come home, collapse on the couch, and struggle to find energy for basic tasks like making dinner or showering. Sleep wasn't restful. She'd wake up 3 or 4 times every night, sometimes from leg cramps, sometimes for no apparent reason. She tried melatonin, tried magnesium oxide supplements from the hospital gift shop, tried cutting caffeine. Nothing worked consistently. Her doctor suggested she was just getting older and might need to reduce her shifts. At 58, she wasn't ready to scale back her career. Week 1 of the pumpkin seed protocol, Margaret reported something she hadn't experienced in months: 3 consecutive nights without leg cramps waking her. She was cautious about getting excited, figured it might be coincidence, but by day 10, the pattern held. Her calves stopped seizing at 3 a.m. For the first time in years, she slept through entire nights. Week 3 brought the energy shift. Not sudden and dramatic, but she noticed around day 18 that she wasn't hitting that brutal wall at hour 8 of her shift. The deep exhaustion that used to make her question whether she could safely drive home that started lifting. She described it as reclaiming my second wind. Tasks that felt overwhelming, like grocery shopping after work, became manageable again. By week 6, Margaret had her blood pressure checked during a routine work screening. It had dropped 12 points systolic and 7 points diastolic. She wasn't on blood pressure medication, but those numbers had been creeping upward for years. Her nurse colleagues asked what she changed. When she told them pumpkin seeds, most were skeptical. One doctor she worked with, though, knew the research and nodded knowingly. Food is medicine, he said. It works when you give it time. Month 3. Margaret was gardening again, something she'd given up 2 years earlier because she couldn't handle the physical demands. She wasn't running marathons, but she could spend Saturday morning pulling weeds, planting flowers, maintaining her yard without needing Sunday to recover. Her sleep had stabilized at 7 solid hours most nights, and the chronic fatigue that shadowed her for years had lifted. The financial piece mattered too. Margaret tracked her costs meticulously. Nurse habits die hard. $8 per month for organic pumpkin seeds versus the $30 monthly she'd been spending on magnesium supplements that didn't work. Over a year, she saved over $250 while getting vastly superior results. She joked that the seeds paid for her gardening supplies. Who benefits most? This protocol works broadly, but certain groups see particularly dramatic improvements. Athletes and physically active people burn through magnesium faster than sedentary individuals. Every muscle contraction requires magnesium. Every ATP molecule produced during exercise depletes magnesium stores. Runners, cyclists, weightlifters, anyone training intensely often struggles with magnesium deficiency, even when their diet looks solid on paper. The seeds provide concentrated magnesium alongside zinc and omega-3 seconds that support muscle recovery and reduce exercise-induced inflammation. People dealing with insomnia or poor sleep quality respond remarkably well. As I mentioned earlier, magnesium activates GABA receptors and calms your nervous system. If you're someone who lies awake with racing thoughts, struggles to fall asleep, or wakes frequently throughout the night, this addresses a root cause that sleeping pills and melatonin supplements miss entirely. High-stress professionals, executives, healthcare workers, emergency responders, anyone operating under chronic pressure deplete magnesium faster than their diet can replace it. Stress hormones dump magnesium from cells into bloodstream and ultimately into urine. You're literally urinating away your magnesium reserves every time cortisol spikes. These individuals need higher intake than average, and pumpkin seeds provide that without the digestive issues of high-dose supplements. Older adults face particular challenges with magnesium. Absorption decreases with age as stomach acid production declines and intestinal efficiency drops. Bone density concerns become paramount as osteoporosis risk increases. Magnesium works synergistically with calcium and vitamin D to maintain bone strength. It's not optional for skeletal health. The seeds deliver magnesium in the most absorbable form for aging digestive systems. Anyone managing blood sugar concerns or insulin resistance benefits from improved insulin signaling. Magnesium deficiency is both a cause and consequence of type 2 diabetes, a vicious cycle where poor blood sugar control depletes magnesium, which worsens insulin resistance, which further deteriorates blood sugar. Breaking that cycle requires bioavailable magnesium consistently delivered. Safety considerations. Now, let's talk about who needs to be cautious or avoid this protocol entirely. If you have kidney disease, especially advanced kidney disease requiring dialysis, listen carefully. Your kidneys regulate magnesium excretion. When kidney function is impaired, magnesium can accumulate to dangerous levels, causing hypermagnesemia, a potentially life-threatening condition. You absolutely need to discuss any magnesium supplementation, including food sources, with your nephrologist before proceeding. For those taking blood pressure medications, particularly ACE inhibitors or diuretics, the interaction isn't dangerous but requires awareness. Magnesium can lower blood pressure, which is usually beneficial. But if your medication is already effectively controlling blood pressure, adding magnesium might drop it too low. Monitor how you feel, and have your doctor check your blood pressure after a few weeks. They may need to adjust medication dosages as your natural magnesium levels improve. If you have a sensitive digestive system or conditions like IBS, start with half an ounce daily for the first week. The fiber content in pumpkin seeds, while beneficial for most people, can trigger symptoms in those with existing gut issues. Soaking helps significantly, but some individuals need a slower introduction. Pay attention to your body. Mild bloating for the first few days is normal as your microbiome adjusts. Severe cramping or diarrhea means you're pushing too fast. Pull back and increase gradually. One interaction that catches people off guard: calcium supplements. If you take calcium for bone health, space it at least 2 hours away from your pumpkin seeds. Calcium and magnesium compete for absorption using similar transport mechanisms. Taking them together reduces the absorption of both. Morning calcium, evening pumpkin seeds works well for most schedules. For pregnant or breastfeeding women, pumpkin seeds in food amounts are considered safe. You're essentially eating a nutritious food, not taking therapeutic doses of isolated compounds. But if you're considering eating multiple servings daily, run it past your obstetrician. Pregnancy increases magnesium requirements, but individual circumstances vary. Better to get personalized guidance than make assumptions. The evidence is clear. 6 major studies published between 2012 and 2024 across peer-reviewed journals consistently demonstrate what I've described here. The Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry, BMC Medicine, American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, Nutrients, Food and Function, and the British Journal of Nutrition have all published research validating the superior absorption and multi-system benefits of food-based magnesium from seeds and nuts compared to isolated supplements. When you consume 1 ounce of properly prepared pumpkin seeds daily, you're not following internet trends or anecdotal advice. You're applying peer-reviewed science that doctors and researchers have validated through controlled trials involving thousands of participants across multiple continents. The mechanisms are understood. The safety profile is established. The outcomes are documented. Your body has extraordinary healing potential when given the raw materials it needs in forms it can actually use. Magnesium isn't optional, it's foundational to over 300 essential biochemical reactions. Every cell depends on adequate magnesium to function properly. For $2 to $3 weekly, you can address one of the most common yet overlooked nutritional deficiencies affecting modern health. The protocol is simple. 1 ounce raw organic pumpkin seeds, soaked overnight with a pinch of salt, consume daily around evening. Give it 4 weeks minimum before evaluating results. Pay attention to sleep quality, muscle comfort, energy levels, and stress resilience. Notice what changes. This isn't about dramatic overnight transformations, it's about consistent support that compounds over time. Take that first step tonight. Set up your seeds to soak. 4 weeks from now, you'll have data from your own body showing whether this evidence-based protocol delivers the benefits research predicts. Science points the way. The choice is yours.